I'm Dr. Susan Beck. I'm the Chief Science Officer for Neolife and Scientific Advisory Board. So, today I get to talk to you about daily sun prep. It is a much needed addition to our Nutriance line. So yes, we have created a zinc-based sunscreen called Daily Sun Prep. It's unique and it's effective for both the face and for the body. Now, Daily Sun Prep is 30 SPF. It contains translucent natural zinc oxide. It's broad spectrum. So that means it's going to protect against both UVA and UVB radiation, which I'll talk about more in a minute. Now, sunscreens are regulated as over-the-counter drugs, OTC drugs in the United States. So we did extensive testing for FDA requirements. And because we're Neolife, we also tested above and beyond what the FDA requires. So here are some of the additional tests that we did on Daily Sun Prep. It's dermatologist tested. It's tested to make sure it's hypoallergenic. It's tested to make sure it's non-comedogenic, which just means it will not block pores or cause breakouts. Of course, it's 100% vegan. It's never tested on animals. It includes skin-soothing ingredients like chamomile and green tea and lotus flower. Now, SPF means sun protection factor, and a sunscreen with an SPF of 30 will block 97% of the sun's UVB rays. And a sunscreen with an SPF of 50 will block 98%. So while people may think that they're getting a lot more protection with an SPF 50, in reality it's almost the exact same thing as an SPF 30. It's impossible to get a sunscreen that'll block 100% of these rays. So there's very little difference between SPF 30 and SPF 50. Now, why is it important to use sunscreen? Well, there's two very important reasons to use sunscreen. The first important reason is that it prevents skin cancer. Skin cancer is the most common cancer in the United States. There are different types of skin cancer: squamous cell carcinoma, basal cell carcinoma, and the deadly melanoma. 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. And all skin tone types are vulnerable to developing skin cancer. In fact, there's been a 31.5% increase in melanoma in an 8-year period in the US, and melanoma is the 17th most common cancer worldwide. And invasive melanoma is projected to be the 5th most commonly diagnosed cancer in 2024 in the US. Melanoma can grow very quickly, and it can also become life-threatening in as little as 6 weeks if it's not caught early. And often people with darker skin tones are diagnosed in the later stages when it's more difficult to treat. The second important reason to use sunscreen is to avoid wrinkles and aging spots, also called liver spots, which are those dark-colored spots that can develop in areas of sun-exposed skin like the face. So the more consistently we use sunscreen, the less we're going to develop wrinkles and aging spots. So using sunscreen has an anti-aging and anti-wrinkle effect, which means we end up looking younger than if we didn't use sunscreen at all. Now, the reason the sun causes this much damage to our skin is because it emits ultraviolet rays. 2 of the UV rays it emits are UVA and UVB. Scientists often refer to UVA as the aging ray and UVB as the burning ray. Let's quickly just go over a few basics about our skin because this helps in our understanding of UVA and UVB rays. Our skin is the largest organ in the body. It serves as a physical barrier. It protects against environmental factors including UV radiation, pathogens, air pollution. It consists of 3 layers. The epidermis, which is the protective layer at the very top of the skin. The dermis, which is the middle layer, and that's where the collagen and elastin live. Collagen and elastin provide structural integrity to our skin. And then there's a subcutaneous fat under the dermis and the epidermis, which plumps up the skin and helps us make us look more youthful. Now, the subcutaneous layer gets thinner as people age, and although UV rays don't directly reach the subcutaneous layer, they can create inflammation in this area, which can also contribute to skin aging. Both UVA and UVB damage our skin. Let's start with UVA, the aging rays. UVA makes up about 95% of the UV rays that enter the Earth's surface. UV rays penetrate deep into our skin, down to the dermis layer. They're the ones that damage collagen and elastin. So as a result, UVA causes almost all forms of skin aging, including wrinkles and age spots. UVA generates free radicals and suppresses the immune system, which diminishes the skin's ability to combat free radicals. You may think you only need sunscreen when it's sunny outside, but the fact is that UV rays can penetrate through clouds and even through glass. So this means you are being exposed to these UV aging rays on cloudy days, in cars, airplanes, and anywhere near glass. Now UVB radiation, the burning rays, make up only 5% of the UV rays from the sun, but it's very strong. UVB does not penetrate as deeply as UVA. It mostly affects the epidermis, but it's so strong that it has significant damaging effects on the top layer of our skin. Both UVA and UVB rays damage DNA and can cause skin cancer. So that's why it's critical to use a broad spectrum sunscreen. Not all sunscreens protect against UVA and UVB. In fact, the SPF testing required by the FDA is based on UVB only. I'm going to say that again. The FDA testing on sunscreen for the SPF, that sun protection factor, is based on UVB only. So there are certain sunscreen ingredients that will block both UVA and UVB, and zinc oxide is one of them. That's one of the reasons we chose to use zinc oxide in daily sun prep, to protect our skin from both the UVA and UVB rays. Now let me tell you something that not a lot of people are aware of when it comes to sunscreens. There are two different categories of sunscreens. One category is called chemical sunscreens, and the other category is called mineral sunscreens. There are 14 chemical sunscreens in use today, only two mineral sunscreens. Per the FDA, chemical sunscreens are not considered to be in a category called generally safe and effective. The only two sunscreens that are considered to be generally safe and effective are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Now, generally recognized as safe and effective is a legal term referring to over-the-counter drugs, OTC drugs. So let me explain to you why the mineral sunscreens are considered to be generally recognized as safe and effective. 5 years ago, in 2019, the FDA did a study on 6 out of the 14 available chemical sunscreens. The study was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The researchers discovered that all 6 of these chemical sunscreens are absorbed in the blood and remain in the blood after the last application. Now, I am going to explain to you the study design, and I'm not going to explain to you the study design in the hopes of boring you. I am going to explain the study design because I want you to understand how significant this study was. So, the participants were divided into 4 groups. Each group was given a different delivery system: lotion, aerosol spray, non-aerosol spray, pump spray. The participants applied sunscreen 1 time on day 1, 4 times on days 2, 3, and 4. That's it. No more sunscreen was applied for the rest of the clinical trial, which lasted 21 days. And the amount of chemical sunscreen in the blood was measured 34 times throughout the 21-day study. Now, the FDA established ahead of time a safety threshold for blood levels of these chemicals. They decided that if any of the 6 reached this threshold, then the FDA would require additional safety testing from the chemical sunscreen companies. All 6 of these chemical sunscreens reached blood concentrations that exceeded the FDA safety limits within just 1 application. In fact, they remained above what the FDA considered to be unsafe levels at day 7, which that's 3 days after the last application. Remember, the last application was day 4. Day 7, they're still exceeding the blood threshold limits. And 2 of the chemical sunscreens, homosalate and oxybenzone, which are commonly used sunscreens in the industry, were still above the safety threshold limits at day 21. Remember, last application was day 4. So, what does the FDA do? Well, they continue to recommend the chemical sunscreens. They don't want people to get sun cancer. The FDA also called for the manufacturers of chemical sunscreens to do safety testing. The reason they requested the safety testing is because we don't know what it means to have these chemical sunscreens enter the blood and remain there for days or even weeks after the last application. Now, the FDA requested this safety data 5 years ago, and as far as I know, there has been no additional published safety testing on these chemical sunscreens. So we know these chemicals enter the blood and remain in the blood for extended periods of time, but we don't know what this means. The FDA has also stated clearly that the only two sunscreens that meet the generally recognized as safe and effective status are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Now, there are concerns that some of these chemical sunscreens can disrupt hormones. A recent study on a popular chemical sunscreen, oxybenzone, showed that this chemical may induce reproductive toxicity. Now, this is the second time you've heard the name oxybenzone, because it was one of the chemicals that was found to exceed safety threshold limits in the blood on day 21 of the FDA study. There's also concern that children may be more susceptible to the effects of these chemical sunscreens, and chemical sunscreens have been found in breast milk. So daily sun prep uses only zinc oxide, which is one of the two sunscreens the FDA has classified as generally recognized as safe and effective. Zinc oxide works immediately upon application. Chemical sunscreens might take about 30 minutes before they actually work. Zinc oxide does not enter the bloodstream. It does not enter breast milk. And zinc oxide blocks both UVA and UVB rays. Now, the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, is a nonprofit organization, and one of the things they do is they evaluate sunscreen. And they say on their website that some of the sunscreens that receive the highest ratings for UV protection contain zinc oxide. And here's a chart that they have on their website, and what they have found is that zinc oxide actually protects better than titanium dioxide or the other chemical sunscreens, and zinc oxide works so well, it's actually basically the same as wearing a shirt. Now, there's another advantage to using zinc oxide. It's environmentally friendly and it won't harm marine life. There's a growing awareness of environmental dangers of chemical sunscreens. In fact, several places around the world have banned certain chemical sunscreens to protect marine life and coral reefs, including Hawaii, the US Virgin Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, parts of Mexico, and Hawaii has also banned chemical sunscreens. Guess what? One of the chemical sunscreens that they have banned is oxybenzone. The third time you've heard this chemical's name. Because studies have shown that these chemicals have harmful impacts on Hawaii's marine environment and ecosystems, including coral reefs. However, in order for zinc oxide and titanium dioxide to be considered safe for the environment, including marine life, they cannot contain nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are extremely small particles that can harm the environment. Nanoparticles aren't regulated. So companies may say that their mineral sunscreens are reef safe, but they may not be. Now, daily sun prep is a non-nanoparticle product, and we know it's safe for marine life and coral reefs and for you. We use only the highest quality zinc oxide available. But wait, won't zinc oxide turn my face white? That's the beauty of daily sun prep. It absorbs really well into the skin. It doesn't leave an unpleasant white cast that other zinc oxide or titanium dioxide products leave. It's ideal for all skin types and skin tones. We even did an internal comparison with our daily sun prep against 7 other mineral oxide products, and the consensus was that our daily sun prep performed the best out of all of them. Now, most people use chemical sunscreens. I'm going to show you 3 slides that will give you a snapshot of the most popular sunscreens purchased at Sephora, at Ulta, and Amazon. As you can see, the ones with the red X's are all chemical sunscreens. So this is unfortunate considering the lack of safety data on these types of sunscreens and the fact that they enter the bloodstream and remain there at high levels, with some remaining in the bloodstream weeks after the last application. So to summarize, daily sun prep is a broad spectrum SPF 30 zinc oxide sunscreen for the face and the body. It protects against both UVA and UVB rays. It protects against skin cancer, it prevents wrinkles and age spots, it has an anti-aging effect on the skin. It does not contain nanoparticles, so it's safe for marine life and coastal and coral reef. It's vegan, it's never tested on animals. Our daily sun prep is also hypoallergenic, it won't cause breakouts, because the zinc oxide that we use in daily sun prep is translucent, it won't leave a white cast on your skin. It works well for all skin types and skin tones. And this is how to use daily sun prep with the rest of our amazing Nutriance line with a 5-step system. Cleanse with one of our fantastic cleansing gels, tone with our balancing product, treatment with one of our serums, our amazing serums, moisturize with one of our amazing moisturizers, and then you put on the daily sun prep. And then after applying daily sun prep, then makeup can be put on. I think you're going to find that it'll quickly become an essential part of your daily routine. It has definitely become an important part of my Nutriance skin routine. So I want to thank you